What's up, everybody? It's me. We're back. Yep, another episode of the Fryar Place. I'm Irving Fryar. I'm the host here at the Fryar Place, where the conversations are fire. You know it. Island Smoothies. I see you. You're already in the house. You must have been waiting. You must have been anticipating the fact that we have a wonderful, wonderful guest today. It's about to get real. Y'all come on in the room. Let me know you're here. I think about 4 or 5 of us that were waiting while we're right there at the beginning during the introduction. Y'all announce yourselves. Let me know who's on right now. Let me give myself so I can look directly at you. Let me know who's here. Y'all come on in the room. It's our normal time of the week. We're on time. You didn't have to wait for us today. So come on in the room. Let me know who's here. Great things going on, y'all, here at the Fryar Place. Yes, we do. You Eagles fans, draft yesterday. I guess we did a pretty good job in the draft yesterday. That's yet to be seen. We thought we did a good job last year with Jordan when he came in, but he didn't do much. So we'll have to see this year with these other Georgia Bulldogs that have come on in to join the Eagles. Waiting patiently. You're waiting patiently. Island Smoothies is waiting. There's a bunch of y'all in right now. Can you please tell me who's here? Let me know who's watching. Oh, thank you, Sister Lake. What's going on? Hello there. How are you? That's a new face. You're a new face. I haven't seen you before. God bless you. Thanks for being on today. I think you're going to enjoy our guest. I'm going to bring him in the room. We don't want to prolong the program. He has graced the Fryar Place. Oh, that rhymed. He's come on into the studio. He's in studio right now. Yeah, y'all. And he's a big man. He's taking up all the space over there in the guest seat with the guest mic at the Fryar Place, y'all. Brother Sabur Sawyer. I'm going to bring him on in the house. What's going on, man? How are you?
Listen, man, God is good. I'm just glad to be here.
Oh, Lord have mercy. You're going to try to be all humble.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, man, there was a lot of people that didn't think I would make it here.
Listen. Hello. Fred Dantzler, what's going on, bro? How are you? I never saw you at the Fryar Place either. Thanks for being here today. Okay, we're going to get right into it, I guess. You know, you're native New Jerseyan, born and raised here. But, man, you've got a story. And first of all, in spite of your story, and I'm going to give you a chance to tell it because the people need to hear it. But, bro, you got a great spirit about you. And sometimes, here's what I've noticed sometimes, this is what I've noticed sometimes. Okay, that Sister Lake, is that one of your relatives? Do you know her?
Really good friend of mine.
Okay, really good friend of yours. All right. Well, God bless you. Thanks for being in, Sister Lake. God bless you. I've noticed when people go through the ups and the downs, and we all do. Everybody does. And everybody's cross is different, but it is a cross that we have to bear. We go through our ups and downs, and some of us, because of that, come out better. And some of us come out on the other side of it bitter. And what you've gone through, from what I understand, you rightfully so could have come out bitter, but for whatever reason, you came out better.
Yes, sir.
Matter of fact, when we were talking earlier, you said it was the best thing that ever happened to you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So let's first talk about, growing up in New Jersey, going to high school here. Mm-hmm. There was some interaction with the juvenile system. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Talk to us about that.
I grew up in Highland Park, New Jersey, predominantly a small white town on the outskirts of New Brunswick. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, I didn't know what real was.
When you say real, what do you mean by real?
Highland Park is kind of somewhat in a bubble. The friends you have, the people that you go to school with, a lot of times are not the same people that you see once you start venturing out into the world.
Right.
So I definitely went through an identity crisis, not knowing who I really was.
Parents in the house? Were parents home?
My father passed away when I was 3. Mm-hmm. So primarily raised by my mom. Mm-hmm. So I played football in high school. Started both offense and defense. We were state champs 3 years straight.
Highland Park?
Yes, sir.
When was this? Yes, where was I? Highland Park was. Wait a minute. Back up.
Group 1 state champs 3 years straight. Yes,
Group 1 state champs, Highland Park, 3 years in a row.
Yes, sir.
Man, okay, I'm gonna have to go check my history.
Yeah. You may have.
That's
heard
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, we just dominated. And
what position did you play?
I played defensive tackle. Played defensive guard. Offensive guard. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I would actually kick the ball because I was a really good kicker. Sometimes I would do kickoff return.
Wow.
Because it was just hard for people to tackle me.
I guess so.
So I kind of was at liberty to do whatever I wanted. That kind of went to my head. I was kind of like the big man on campus, so to speak, in high school. And I had some family over in New Brunswick that I went to church with, some of my cousins, and they, took to my size and wanted me to get in some activities that they were into.
Okay.
Again, because of my size. Me not knowing any better. So started running with a few of my cousins from New Brunswick, and I saw a whole different side of life. And that, of course, led me to juvenile detention.
Wow. So what is, for any young person or even any parent who may be dealing with, the influence of the streets when it comes to their children, the influence of the children's peers, and particularly the negative influence, what would be the lesson, and I need to bring this over to me too, what would be the lesson or the warning that you would give that young person or give those parents with regards to their children, and in order to try to prevent anything happening with the juvenile detention centers or juvenile justice?
Well, for parents, me, I have 6 children, and
you've been busy, bro.
Yeah, man.
You trying to make up for lost time?
Absolutely. What I did was I just kept it real with them. I told them the truth. Any battle scars that I had, anything that I went through in life, I was honest about it. Real life decisions that I've made, things that some might say I'm not going to share with my children. So I let my children know early on I'm not perfect. I've made mistakes and I continue to make mistakes, but I'm gonna give you everything in real life terms as it is. So there was no sugarcoating,
right?
And that's worked. And also, I was never afraid to allow my children to be them. I used to do something called a phone check back in the day. It's my phone. I pay the bill.
I got a phone check. Phone check.
Exactly. And that's something that we did in the prison system. If you were on the phone too long, somebody comes, hey, listen, man, it's a phone check.
Yep.
So I would take their phone and I would go through it. And a lot of times it would expose things that they were going through, and then we could sit down and we could talk about it.
Well, you know what? You could actually take the phone of a lot of people.
Find out what they really into.
You could take someone's phone. Yeah, you
Yeah.
look at somebody's phone, and it will expose a whole lot of stuff.
Amen.
Matter of fact, cell phones created a lot of divorces.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Sister checking them cell phones. Yeah, cell phone check 1212. So in the juvenile system, talk about that. What was your experience there? What was that like? What actually took place, and how did you actually get out of it?
Well, that was a very pivotal point in my life because, again, I went in from Holland, with the Holland Park mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up, mostly, like I said, around white kids,
Mm-hmm.
not knowing what was cool or what was not cool in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
then, of course, with my size, a lot of the kids from New Brunswick and other areas, they were somewhat intimidated by me, but because I didn't talk like them or walk like them, they were going to go ahead and test me.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's when things changed. I never mind, having a good fight. So, after I beat up a couple guys in juvenile, things got really easy. Things got really easy.
Yeah, but okay, things got easy for you. Yeah. What's going on, Vanessa? I see you. Richard, I see you. Mom, I see you. My mom's on, so be careful. Make sure you tell the truth.
Yes, sir.
So juvenile, like you said, it was pivotal for you.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, yeah, things like that happen in juvenile where there's fights or altercations and things like that. It happens in prison. But how did that actually help to steer you or get you going in the right direction? Or was that something that your response to or reaction to wasn't as conducive as it should have been or could have been?
I fell in love with Shakespeare early on.
Really?
Yeah. Up until the 9th grade, I didn't have reading comprehension.
Okay.
I could read something well, but I couldn't tell you what I just read.
Okay.
So the only black male teacher I ever had academically taught me how to play chess when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know or cannot recall how he knew that would somehow unlock my ability to read, digest information, and comprehend. So learning how to play chess, I then went back and started reading Shakespeare, and I was amazed how everything kind of came to life. So things that I thought I read before I had to reread.
Mm-hmm.
So in Hamlet, he has a famous line where he says there's a message to the madness, a method to the madness. And I learned how to do that in juvenile. I learned how to pretend to be someone that I really wasn't in order to get by. So I started to play this tough guy in juvenile. And then what happened is when I got out, kids that I was in juvenile with saw me now, and I had to continue playing that role.
Okay.
And at some point, I went so down, far down the rabbit hole that I actually lost myself. Yeah.
So the role, let me get this straight, and this is for anybody who's listening right now or who will listen at a later time. So the role that basically, like you said, you were living a lie, this facade, this fake person that you created, that you were living out vicariously. You actually became that person because you were doing it for so long, you started believing it.
Right.
And you lost who you really were.
Yes, sir.
Wow.
Yes, sir. So when I got out of juvenile, my senior year, prior to juvenile, all I wanted to do was go to college and go pro.
Mm-hmm. Pro football.
Yes, sir.
All right.
I was my I think 80% of my tackles were for loss of yardage. I was 6'1", 240 pounds as a senior, solid.
Mm-hmm. So were you getting looks from colleges?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But then on the other side, I had a few cousins that were making a significant amount of money in the streets, and because of my size, like I said, and me enjoying physical altercations in the street, they were willing to pay me, So I was like, what, I could do this, and things just got worse, and it went from the fighting to the guns, and yeah.
So again, what would you say to, because we have young people, male and females, big and small, light and dark, that are making that decision on a daily basis, whether to continue like their education and advancing themselves in the right way, but then there's this temptation of the right now dollar, the dollar that's in their face, this quick money, and it's good money, but it doesn't last, as we all know. What's your message to them? What would you tell them? Because you made the choice to take the quick dollar, and it didn't last. It didn't work. We're going to continue to talk about where you went from there. What's up, James Hicks? I see you, bro. But there's people who are young people who are making that kind of choice, or feel like they have to make that kind of choice on a daily basis, every day. And a lot of them are choosing the wrong way. All this crime we see around here, and people robbing folk, and those are the people who are making that choice on the wrong side. What do you tell them when, in their mind, it's not likely that they're going to succeed doing it the right way?
It's hard. When you're actually living it, going through it, it's more so the people around them have to not be afraid to speak up.
Okay.
When I look back, hindsight is always 20/20. I can see some people who really were sincere and trying to help me. But I just did not have the wherewithal to understand, to really grasp the message. So what I would say to young people now is just slow down, really take a look, and really see who cares about you. Because someone who cares about you is not going to be afraid to tell you what's really going on. But you have to be in the right mind space to even listen, to say, you know what, let me see what this person is trying to tell me. And let me, look at where they're coming from. And had I did that back then, a lot of things in my life would have been different.
Right, but you know what? Young people don't think like that. Matter of fact, it's been proven scientifically, I guess even medically, that a young person's brain is not developed to the point where they can assess the outcome of a choice. If I do this, then this is going to happen. If I do that, then that's going to happen. Their minds don't work that way. That's where the importance of parents or mentors or mentoring programs come into play, in that, the direction of a child who is unable to make those kinds of choices based on the deduction of the outcome,
right.
Is actually helped and moved and directed by the parent or the mentor, right. or someone, like you said, that they respect and they will listen to. But in most cases, they don't have anybody like that.
And therein lies the problem.
They just got the same old folk running with them doing the same old thing, and it's the blind leading the blind, like you said, down the rabbit hole. And many of them don't recover from that. Many of them don't make it. But you did. You were able to recover. At some point, I guess boxing became a part of your life.
Yes, sir.
Since you like to beat people up. So talk about how you changed, beating people up with your bare hands to beating people up with gloves on.
There was a police officer in New Brunswick.
Mentor.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, mentor. Yes, there you go. See, let me just say something real quick. Just hold your thought. This is what we should be doing. People like myself, people like Sabur, people like my nephews here, we should be mentoring. There are plenty of kids.
Yes, sir.
And I have a couple of kids that I do mentor right now. And matter of fact, found out that they're the grandchildren of a guy I went to high school with, but I'm mentoring them because their father is out of the picture. And they have ability. They need someone who is a male figure in their lives, speaking into their lives. And there's more. It takes a village to raise these children. Yes, and y'all, if you're a man, successful man, or one who is, had a measure of success in your life, you need to reach back. There are a lot of kids who need a male role model. There are a lot of male young men, young teenagers who need an example. We don't become men instinctively like animals do. A baby bear cub becomes a full-grown grizzly bear instinctively. Juwanza Kunjufu says that those of us as human beings, a young boy or a teenage boy, 13, 14 years old, will choose what he believes to be the male role model, example of male role model, of manhood, an example of manhood, and he'll choose to model himself after that man because we got to see it in order to be it. And our young,
You're preaching, brother.
yes, our young men need mentors. They don't have fathers because we fail in that area, and you have a mother who's trying to raise this young man, trying to teach him how to be a man. A mom cannot teach a boy how to be a man.
Preach.
She can teach him how to be a good mom, but she can't teach him how to be a man.
Right.
Only a man can teach a boy how to be a man. And y'all, if you have the opportunity, you need to give back. You need to there's plenty of them. They won't be hard to find. Find a young man, a young male that you can mentor, that you can help along the way. I'm done. Go ahead, the boxing, bro. I'm sorry. I just need to say
you know
that.
what? You about to open up Pandora's box, brother. So there was a police officer in New Brunswick by the name of Curtis Ford.
Curtis Floyd, I like that.
Curtis Ford.
Curtis Ford. All right.
Yeah, and he pulled me over one day, and he had heard about me. He says, "Listen, man, you know, you're either going to end up in jail for the rest of your life, or you're going to end up dead." And I said, "Wow." He said, "Listen, you know, since you like to fight, let me teach you how to box." I thought it was perfect, and you know, he started training me. Actually, him and another brother. Oh man, come on. His Muslim name is Ibrahim. But when he boxed, he actually went to the Olympics in '76 with Sugar Ray.
With Sugar Ray, all right.
Yeah. And then, you know, before boxing, I thought I knew how to fight.
Okay.
And it wasn't until I started training that I said, man, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I used that for a long time as a means to kind of stay away from the streets. But eventually, you know, the streets kept calling me. And, you know, things went from better to worse.
So did you see Brother Ford in that, I want to say, I don't know, the step backwards? Did you happen to see Mr. Ford? Was he reaching out to you? Was he, did he recognize what was happening in terms of you slipping back into the streets?
Yes.
And what did he say? What did he try to do?
He was vigilant. He was dedicated. He wasn't going anywhere. Mm-hmm. And he wasn't afraid of me. You know, one day, you know, we were training, and we were just talking about the boxers who were on the spotlight at that time. They happened to be Mike Tyson.
Right.
And I said something. I said, "Man, Mike Tyson, this and that." And he put the gloves on, and he just smacked me hard, real hard. And I said, "Man, what'd you do that for?" He said, "Man, there's no reason for us to be here at all if you believe or think that you're going to get in the ring and not beat him."
Wow.
He said, "Yeah, let's just quit right now." He said, "There's any man on this planet that got 2 arms and 2 legs that walk in that ring that you can't beat, that you know you can't beat, we need to stop." And from that moment, I said, "You know what, man? I'll beat the mess out of Mike Tyson. let him stand in that ring." You know. So.
But he had you believing in yourself.
Absolutely.
He had you believing in yourself, and that's, I mean, hats off. I don't know if you still in contact with Brother Ford.
No, he passed away some years ago.
Well, God bless him. God bless him. He got some jewels in his crown, because that's awesome, because that's a struggle that not just our young people have in terms of their identity, but grown folk have a big struggle with who they are and their value, and believing in themselves, believing in their capabilities, believing in their abilities, believing in their creativity, and their originality. A lot of people go through life being copycats of other people. So we're born as valuable originals, but many of us die as cheap copies. Boy, I just said something right there. Because we go through life trying to be somebody else,
right.
rather than being ourselves. Everybody has a fingerprint, and all of our fingerprints are original. All of us are original, and just be yourself. You can only be the best me you can be is second place. The best me you can be is second. The best you can be is first. The best you I can be is only second place. I can't be you. Only you can be you. And that's what our young people, that's what even grown folk today struggle with that, man. We struggle with our identity. But it's real. Like you're saying, God made us, and he made us. He thought about us when he was making us. He took time to make us. There was reverence when God made us. God loves us, and everything that God made is wonderful, and we were made for him. So we got to see ourselves that way and know that we all have this uniqueness about us. But yes, when you talk about a community that needs to work together, but it's individuals and individual personalities coming together to create that community, to make a common goal become reality. So I'm sorry, I'm all over your story, man. I'm all over your story. But me being here with you, you being here with me in the studio is bringing this out of me, man. It's your spirit. It's your spirit. It's your story. It's your life. It's your presence that's doing that. It's great. So you went backwards. You started boxing, and Diana, was that Diane Parker? Yes, Diane Parker. Hey, and Florence, what's going on? Y'all in the house today. All right, I see you. William Lenny Smith Sankofa. What's up, Lenny? How you doing, bro? Good to see you. Yeah, don't be a copy, be yourself. That is exactly right. That's a word. That's a word. A lot of us, again, were born valuable originals, but we died cheap copies. Good gosh. So you went backwards again. You took a step backwards and ended up in prison. Right. After the boxing. Now this is real to me because I was in prison as well.
We all in prison.
I had one shape, form, or fashion.
Mentally, spiritually.
Yeah. I love you.
Financially.
Yep.
Yeah, we all in prison.
Yep.
Everybody has their own cell to get out of.
Talk to me, bro. Talk. You say it again. Say it again.
Everybody has their own prison cell to get out of. Don't think for 1 second that this is not something that's keeping you bonded to something else.
Good God Almighty. Yeah. We ain't free. So talk to us about that whole experience. What happened that brought about your incarceration, and talk to me about the incarceration. Maybe you can help me because I was sentenced to 5 years for conspiracy. That there's just a whole crazy thing. I spent 8 months in prison. Now, I know some people would say that's not a long time. Some people would say that's long. You would say that's not a long time because you were in there longer than 8 months. But for me, and I believe this.
15 minutes is too long.
Yeah, one day is too long. Yeah. But I also believe this. Now having gone to prison, and not in my case, so to speak, for me, I'm not speaking for me, but it is applicable for me, I believe, that some of these, whether they did it or not, I'm not even going to get into that, but some of these sentences that they have based on these convictions of certain crimes don't warrant prison.
No. Well,
don't warrant prison.
Let me say
some of these white collar crimes, even some of the stuff that they pick people up for marijuana and weed and stuff for, that doesn't deserve being put in prison, because prison messes with you. Now, prison, I don't think I was in long enough for prison to mess me up, but prison did mess with me. It still messes with me now. Why? Because, I came out, I was on ISP, and I was on ISP for 21 months, so I was still in prison for another 21 months after that. So it was really 3 years I was in prison. But then still the restraints that are on me, because I'm in the system now. Every month I'm paying monies to the system. So I'm reminded every month. Been doing that for 6 years now. I'm still in the system and I'm still restricted, and it's a bondage that I'm still in that I can't seem to escape. So yeah, it's messing with me. But you may be able to help me today. So tell us the story. What happened? How'd you end up getting locked up?
I had got to the point where, like I said, playing this image in the street, where I would hear stories about other people. So it's funny you mentioned that, where cops of other people. I would hear stories about guys in the street that people were afraid of. And whenever I had an opportunity to be in one of those type of scenarios, I would just replay what I heard this person do. So I was just emulating, who people were afraid of, so that people would be afraid of me. And I had gotten really good at it.
Wow.
And it got to the point to where, the area where I'm from, I was respected by everyone. So now, coming from this little town of Highland Park, and people added that to my name. They used to call me Shalik from Highland Park. But I went anywhere and did anything. I was in the projects. There was nowhere I couldn't go.
So you said you were respected, but it wasn't respected. You were feared.
Right.
You were feared. Yeah. Yeah.
But at that time,
you saw it as respect.
Right,
you saw it as a good thing
right,
at the time.
Right,
yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes fear is necessary. Even today, I live in Camden, and I do certain things when I leave the house on purpose when I see guys outside, so that they say, you know what, this guy's not to be messed with. I had a guy come to my house who's a local handyman in the neighborhood in Camden. So, I leave my gun out on purpose. He said, man, why you got your gun out? I said, just in case somebody come in the door that I don't want to come in the door. They gonna get it. So I know he's gonna take that message outside of the house.
Well, y'all heard that, right? Sabur Sawyer, don't be showing up in his house.
Listen, man, you gonna get it.
Wrong.
You gonna get it. I hope all your policies is in order. Hope all your policies in order coming through that door.
That's real. All your policies.
Yes,
Aaron Black, what's going on? I see you, bro. One day it's two. That's right, Aaron.
That's my brother right there.
That's your brother.
Yes,
you're right. One day in prison is too many. I remember that first day in, man. It was like an hour. It took 24 hours to go by. I'm like, boy, that time was going backwards. I'm like, it's just only an hour went by. My God, I'm sitting there trying to read, and man, shoot, it was ridiculous.
Man, prison was a reprieve. It was a blessing.
Well, you know what? It was an opportunity to catch your breath, slow down, and gain a better grip. Meaning, I came out of prison like real healthy. You're not as stressed because you're not dealing with everyday life. You don't really have much to do, but try to eat right, try to eat, do what you can, exercise, and you're not, you're laying around a lot.
Right.
So you just, you're not as stressed. You don't have the everyday hustle and bustle, but at the same time, I understood why why inmates would disconnect from the outside. Because if you're connected, if you're incarcerated and you have stuff going on the outside and you can't get to it,
right,
it's stressful. It creates more stress for you. So guys will disconnect from anything on the outside so they can do their time, which I understood. But talk to us about why you got incarcerated and your time in prison, and then I guess when you came out of prison, you became you,
right,
rather than this fake cat that was trying to create fear in the eyes and the hearts of people, but you became the real you. Right. So give us that journey.
Tupac says in one of his songs.
We're going Tupac.
He says, "I caught a felony loving the way the guns blow." So, when I was running the streets, sometimes certain situations couldn't be resolved just fighting man to man. And I did fall in love with, I guess, the feeling I had when I would carry guns on me, because I felt like no matter what the circumstance was, I could control the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy came up to me one day, and he had heard something that I said. He said, "Man, somebody told me that you was gonna shoot me. You said that?" I said, "No, that's not exactly what I said. I said, if me and you get into a fight and you beat me, then I'm gonna shoot you."
See,
And,
so you ain't taking the L, huh?
No.
And that, you know what? That's the mentality of these young people today in the streets. Rather than fight with your hands, if I get an L, okay, I got an L. I'll live to fight another day.
Mm-hmm.
No, somebody's not coming out of this.
Right. And he turned around. He was like, "Okay," he accepted that. And said, "All right, fine. I guess I'm not gonna fight you." Because, and then things got serious. When people started getting murdered and stuff like that, and things got real.
Mm-hmm.
So by the time I went to prison, that became my response to any interaction, like to any altercation. Well, this how I'm gonna solve it. And I was put in a situation where I thought in that moment that he was going to do something to me. So I said, let me do something to him first.
Mm-hmm.
And wound up doing 6 years in prison. And even that itself was a blessing.
For whatever crime it was you were convicted of.
Yeah, that was a blessing. And I got convicted right before the 85% law had passed for violent crimes.
Mm-hmm.
If not, I would have been doing 10 years.
Right.
But when I was in Middlesex County for me really wasn't even real, because I had built such a name for myself on the street that I still could do whatever I wanted in the county.
Mm-hmm. So you spent your 6 years in the county?
No, I spent the first year and a half in the county because I didn't want to go to trial.
Okay.
But what wasn't real about it is because there wasn't a situation or anybody in that county that would test me.
Mm-hmm.
So and on the tier that I was on, there were 4 phones. I had my own phone.
We have something in common, because guess what? When I was in prison, I had my own phone too. Mm-hmm. And somebody said something to me one day about the phone, mm-hmm. and I had to make sure everybody knew it was my phone.
Yeah. I have my own phone,
And I ain't big as you.
Mm-hmm.
Matter of fact, they called me OG because I was 50 years old in prison, but they didn't. It was my phone. Let me put it that way.
Yeah. I have my own phone. So, people came to me, "Hey, can I use it at 1:00? Sure."
Yep. There you go.
And then, I even had a guard that would come let me out when everybody else was locked down to continue to use the phone.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So life in the county for me was good.
But then you went to state.
Then I went to state. But before I went to state, the CO had taught me how to read the stock market exchange.
Okay.
I had already fallen in love with reading Forbes magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So the few dollars I did have left on the street, I started to put it up, in stocks and so forth, and mutual funds.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I went down to prison, I started teaching other brothers how to read the stock market.
Okay.
So I would teach them how to set up like a hypothetical portfolio, and for like $10,000, and they would take that and they would invest it, and every week we would come back and we would look and see whose stocks were doing what.
Mm-hmm.
So I wound up going into AdSet, which is solitary confinement for 90 days.
Because you were teaching them that?
No, because
something else happened.
Me and the CEO got into it, and sometimes the problem with having sides is when you say certain things, it's looked at as a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So correctional officer said something to me, and I said, "Man, listen, I'm not doing nothing, and ain't nobody gonna make me do nothing."
Mm-hmm.
And he took that as a threat.
Okay.
So I wound up going to solitary confinement for 90 days. One of the brothers I was teaching sent me a letter. He said, "Sabur, my dividend report came back, so I took that, I reinvested it, and my portfolio year to date is 23% up."
Wow.
I was like, wow. I was in tears, because this brother had learn how to take money to make money,
Mm-hmm.
which would perhaps, give him another resource of income
Mm-hmm.
versus turning to the streets.
Right. Right.
So, I said something real quick and then I redacted it. I said, God, if you want me to stay in prison to teach these men how to better their lives, I'll do it. And I said, wait a minute, let me take that back.
Come back to prison.
Yeah, let me do that from the outside.
Yeah.
Let me do that
Come
from the
back. I'll
outside.
come back to prison. Yeah.
But one of the things happened was I called my mother one day, and she was complaining about her back hurting. And it had snowed. She was like, I was outside shoveling the snow, and my back was hurting. I'm in a lot of pain right now. And I cried, man. I cried because I realized I should have been there shoveling that snow.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized that my friends hadn't come. Why didn't Kareem come? Or why didn't this person come? Or why didn't, we were ride or die. So why aren't you riding for me now?
Mm-hmm.
That the whole out of sight, out of mind thing.
Right.
So I realized I was by myself in the situation. And then once you go back to your cell, what I realized a lot of brothers is they can't deal with the reality. So they play games. They resort back to childhood activities. You'll see that a lot in prison.
Mm-hmm.
They use sports to actually do time. This season. They start watching cartoons again because they don't want to deal with the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And one day I sat in my room. I said, man, you know what? I'm a terrible son. I'm an even worse father. I'm a liar. I'm a whore. I'm a cheater. I said, I'm not a good person. And dealing with that reality and accepting that reality and then wanting to change was the process I had to go through to become a better person. A lot of times when people get those things, they don't want to accept it.
Right.
They don't want to say, man, I'm an alcoholic.
Right.
Or man, I got I have some sexual deviance. They don't want to deal with it. So I had to look at it face to face and say, man, you know what? This is who you are. And if you want to be a better person, you got to start changing these things.
So what did you do to start changing? Here's the real conversation right here. What did you do? Because we all look, I could have been saying the same. Could have been me. Didn't have to be Sabur. Me looking at me saying, "Yeah, I'm this, I'm that, I'm a liar, I'm this, I'm a whore or whatever." All of us have demons we're dealing with.
Right.
All of us, and all of us have to make the choice whether to face them in order to fix them, or deny them and keep living that same lie.
Right.
What did you do to get yourself turned around, to face the reality of what you saw you were, and what did you do to fix it, to get it right?
Well, because you're sitting in this little room by yourself, you can't go anywhere.
Right.
And they must understand almost like geometrically how these rooms will affect your mental state, being inside these bricks. And what I did was I kind of referenced it to boxing. I said, you know what? I'm gonna take it one fight at a time, one round at a time. And one of the first relationships that I wanted to mend was between me and my mother, and then between me and my children. And what I had to learn was I first had to ask God for forgiveness. Not everybody may forgive you, but once you ask God to forgive you and you try to make amends with that person, even if they don't forgive you, then you got to let it go and move on.
Right.
So you know what? I'm sorry. I offended you. If I can return what I've taken from you, then do so to make that type of atonement. And then once you do your best to do that, you move on. So when I got out, I went from being my mother's worst son to her best son. I had to rebuild the relationship with my children and with my children's mothers. And then I had to reassess who a friend was.
Yes.
If what you're bringing to me isn't healthy, mentally, spiritually, physically, financially, if it's not for my own edification, then what is your motive for bringing it to me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know, I started taking a lot of quiet time to just sit, to meditate, to pray, and just ask God to kind of like show me who I wanted to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a whole nother journey, because I'm still fighting to this day, being who I want to be versus being who I am. If you remember the story of Jonah in the Bible, God told Jonah to go to Nineveh,
Mm-hmm.
and Jonah didn't want to go. Jonah wanted to do his own thing. He said, all right, okay, is that what you want me to do? Cool, I'm gonna go ahead and do this.
Right.
And he realized once he didn't do what God wanted him to do, he got himself into worse circumstances.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for me, the belly of the beast was prison.
Mm.
You know, but once Jonah got out of the belly of the beast and was cast on the shore, that's where I've been for the past 20 years of my life.
On the shore.
On the shore, waiting.
Woo.
Because I know what I'm called to do, but I've been afraid to do it.
Mm.
And it's easier to live the limelight. You know, it's hard to take that route that God wants you to do, because it's not the most favorable.
Right.
And a lot of people that have taken that route, you know, have paid the ultimate price with their life. Because when you're speaking truth and speaking truth to power, you're not worried about who, you know, who's going to be offended, because you're speaking on God's behalf.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one of the first persons that ever became impressionable to me was Malcolm X, who, in my opinion, is the most prolific black man we've seen in the past 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of me wanted to continue the message and the journey that Malcolm left off on.
Mm-hmm.
But then another part of me wanted to be like Suge Knight. And those two people are so diametrically opposed.
The preacher or the player?
Exactly. So, you know, I just turned 50 a few weeks ago.
Happy belated birthday, bro.
Thank you. And now I feel more settled to say, you know what? I don't know how much more time I got here. And if I don't start doing what God wants me to do, you know, there was a fig tree. Jesus saw a fig tree one morning.
It wasn't producing.
He was hungry, rather.
Yes, sir.
He said, man, I'm going to go to this fig tree and I'm going to eat me a couple figs.
Yeah.
And he got to the tree and there was nothing there.
Yes, sir. It wasn't producing.
And he said, from this day you will die and wither away.
Done.
And I don't want that to be said to me. So the fig tree had been planted, had soil.
He preaching. Let me wait. Let me get you the screen. Go ahead.
So the fig tree had been given everything it needed to produce, but wasn't producing. So God said, listen, if I gave you everything to produce and you're not producing, what do I need you for? You know? So
you're not useful.
Right. That's where
you're no longer useful.
That's where I'm at right now. It's just like the children of Israel when they were brought out. They complained so much. God said, you know what? Y'all not even gonna make it
to the promised land.
And guess poor Moses. Poor
Moses said, take these folk, I'm done, God.
And guess what? He couldn't go either.
Yep.
Because he kept speaking up on their behalf.
Yep.
So there was a lady that came to Jesus. And she said, my daughter is vexed with demons. Can you heal her? He said, no. He said, I'm not here for you. Right now, I'm not here for you. So the disciples were like, listen, teacher, do you want us to tell her to leave? He said, no, leave her alone. She kept begging. So Jesus said to her, it's not right for me to take the food from the mouth of babes to feed it to the dogs. And brother, there was no greater insult.
Right.
There was no greater insult to a human being to say to them, I'm not going to take food from my babies and give it to you as dogs.
That's right.
What he was doing was seeing if he could break her. She didn't break. She kept going.
Yep.
She said, well, listen, if the food fall from the table.
Just give me the crumbs. Just give me the crumbs. Look, everybody said you're preaching. He is preaching. Wow, my mom said. He is preaching. Vanetta says he's preaching. Yep, come on, sir. So, Aaron Black, Jarvis Redwine. What's going on, JR? Hey, man. All right.
So what happened was Jesus said, listen, from your own faith. This is very important. This is very important for all my people. Jesus let her know that I didn't even have to do anything. You did.
Right.
Because he always told Peter, you can do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
When he walked out on the water, he looked back at them like, why y'all not doing it?
Mm-hmm.
And I think this is a message. See, because my message is not a religious message. It isn't religion.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to tell somebody, if I'm going to tell my people, because I believe I'm here for certain people. If I'm going to tell my people to choose a religion, I wouldn't give an answer.
Mm-hmm.
Because I've been done wrong by Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I've been done wrong by Jews.
Mm-hmm.
I've been done wrong by Muslims.
Mm-hmm.
So none of that matters.
Choose God.
That's it.
Choose God.
So he said, by your own faith she is healed. And that's what a lot of us are missing.
Mm.
We're not looking internally to what God gave us to use to change things.
Well, it all starts on the inside. If you want change on the outside, you got to start looking on the inside.
Absolutely.
Change got to take place on the inside first. When we put our faith in God, when we put our faith in Christ, the change that starts in our lives doesn't start on the outside. There are some things that change on the outside, but that's because of the change that takes place on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So who is? I mean, you were faking all this time, a bully, a boxer, criminal, a street warrior. You were faking all this time. You end up in prison for 6 years, which is way too long for anybody. God bless you, bro. You did 6 years in. God bless you. God bless you. Now you're out. I mean, you got a foundation. You got a family. You got your feet on the ground. You're in social media and digital media marketing. Who is Sabur Sawyer? Who are you? Boy, that's a good question. Who are you? I mean, you found. I say that to say you found yourself. All this time. And by our conversation, the final nail was prison. It actually took prison and you spending 6 years in prison for you to find out who Sabur is.
Yes, sir.
And now you're walking in Sabur's footsteps, not some fake bully, not some fake boxer, not some fake gangster.
Oh, that was a real boxer, sir.
Okay. Okay. But you were, the whole while you were still emulating this image.
Yes, sir.
This image. You were trying to create this image that you thought you could walk in and live in and be prosperous in, but it caused a big fall in your life, all the way to, isolation in prison.
Mm-hmm.
So now you're out, you're free. Who is Sabur?
Sabur is definitely one who I'm trying to refrain from using certain language, but I need to say this.
No, say it. You got it. It's okay.
I love black people, but I hate niggas.
You can say that again.
I am infatuated and adore and admire and honor black people, the most resilient people on the planet. Mm-hmm. But man, I hate niggas.
So identify black people,
Right,
and niggas.
okay. So now you'll hear me make a lot of references to the Bible because the majority of African Americans here in this country are Christian. Mm-hmm. So I use the Bible as a way to bring that message to them. However, actually myself, I'm Muslim.
Mm-hmm.
When God made Adam, he made Adam from the earth. Mm-hmm. So we are physical beings. Mm-hmm. In Islam, or in Hebrew, they have a word called ruh, which means wind, breath.
Wind, breath, yes.
He put a piece of himself in. So there is a piece of God in us that's fighting through all this flesh to come out. So he gave Adam a job. He said, listen, this is my garden. I want you to go tend to it. So in order for Adam to become who he was, he first had to work. So if you're a man, you have you have to work. You have to have some type of skill, craft, or service to be a man. Adam still didn't have a woman yet. Mm-hmm. So he wasn't alone, because you can't be alone in the presence of God. But he was lonely in the sense that it wasn't another him. Then God gave him a position and a purpose. He said, see all these animals? I'm going to make you dominion over them. Mm-hmm. So now he had a job, and he had a position and a purpose. So when a man has a way to take care of himself, and then understand his purpose and his position in life, mm-hmm. then God made him a woman. Mm-hmm. A lot of men are backwards. We don't know where we're going, what we're doing, and we are impregnating these women, and we creating children who don't know where they're going or what they're doing. So take care of yourself as a man. Know your purpose. Know your position. And then procreate. Mm-hmm. That's what a man does. Mm-hmm. Okay? Scientifically, what I try to tell people is anything that moves has life and thought. So a sperm cell has thought. So if a nigga goes into a woman and says, man, I'm going to hit this, man. I don't care nothing about her. She about to get this, and that. His sperm cell that he just ejaculated are traveling with that preconceived thought in them. Mm-hmm. So the sperm is traveling. I don't care nothing about her.
That DNA.
Right. I don't care nothing about her. I'm just trying to get something. Then attaches to the egg and creates that same thing. So we got a bunch of kids walking around here who don't care about nothing.
That kind of DNA.
Because that's what they were created in.
And when you use the word nigger, mm-hmm. or you mean ignorant.
Yes, sir.
That's what.
Because I done met a lot of white niggas too. Spanish niggas. Yeah. It just so happened to be that, I've spent more time, days, hours, months, minutes, years amongst people who look like me.
Right.
So I can speak more on that behalf.
Right.
So if you're not taking care of yourself as a man, and you don't know your position as to who you are to be in your household, in your family, in your community, in your workplace, then you still running around here ignorant, and you just messing things up. And this is right now in 2023, we are living amongst the worst group of black men that have ever been created in history. And
that, I can't argue with you about that statement. I really can't, because things have not gotten better.
No,
we make more money, we've gotten better positions, but
that doesn't mean
it's moving in the wrong direction. It's all for the wrong purpose. The purpose behind it is not being projected to make us better as people. As athletes, we make more money now than we ever did. But how is that transferring over into us becoming better people?
You know what? Had I went professional in football when I was younger and made millions, that would have been more millions for me to cause more chaos. So being blessed with something doesn't mean it's a blessing.
Right. Because it can be used the wrong way.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you a fool with no money, you can only do but so much.
Right.
If you a fool with a bunch of money,
yeah, you can raise a lot of hell.
Exactly. And that's what's going on. Those who are in power, those who are in charge, know if I give these fools more,
right,
the further they'll be away from their purpose. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Sabrina, do you know Sabrina? She said, "So true, Sabur. God is far from our people." Yes, He is, and it's not because that's a true statement, Brianna. But understand, when we say that, whoever's listening, when we say God, or when Sabrina says, when Brianna says God is far from our people, it's not God that moved from the people. It's the people that moved from God.
Yes, sir.
God has always been here.
Right.
God has always been available. God has always served us and serviced us and made Himself available to us. We're the ones who have changed positions. We're the ones who have changed partners. God is the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. There is no turning in him. He's always been there for us. God loves us. We're the ones that say, well, I love God, but we don't. Love is an action word. You can't just say you love somebody and you ain't doing nothing for them.
That's right.
Try that with your husband. Try that with your wife. Well, I love you, but then you don't do nothing. No, it doesn't work that way. So what you got going on these days, man? I mean, your story is just encouraging to me, and we're running out of time. But what do you have going on today? You got 6 kids. Good Lord have mercy. That's a job. 2, 4. That's 3 jobs in itself, bro. You got 6 kids. You got a foundation. What? Talk about your foundation.
Well, when I got out of prison, I started an entertainment company.
Okay.
And I primarily did fashion shows, and then fashion shows turned into concerts, and I did that for quite a few years, and loved it, enjoyed it, but it really wasn't my purpose. It really wasn't my calling. But I took a lot of those skills that I learned, and now transitioning those skills into what my purpose is. Now I'm more focused on getting a message out there, to my people, so that before I'm put in the ground, I could be heard. And believe it or not, this podcast is the beginning to that journey.
Wow.
Letting people know that I'm here and why I'm here, and who I'm speaking to. I've had a book that I've been so-called working on for, I don't know, about 10, 15 years, and the title is called Why Some Black People So Stupid.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh. I love that title. Why some people are so stupid?
No, why are some black people so stupid?
Yeah, why are some black people so stupid?
Right. So one day, my mother and I was talking, and before I could even get out what the content or the context was, most debates just were over the title. Either they like it or they don't like it.
Right.
And
yeah.
my mother was one of those who did not like it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you
I don't know like that.
However, but some black people do some stupid things. It's just real. Man, there's a black man that would kill another black man because he's from another side of town. There's a black man that'll kill another black man because he got a different color shirt on. Is that not stupid?
That's stupid. That is stupid.
There's a black woman that'll give herself away to a man just because he drives a certain car.
That's stupid.
That's stupid. So,
that'll preach too, man.
So my mother said to me, listen, you my baby, but I've seen you do more stupid things than anybody else.
Well, who better to write the book then?
And listen, so I have made a change to the title. The full title is now, Why Are Some Black People So Stupid, Including Myself?
There you go. Who better to write the book?
Because I've been the president of the stupid society.
I'm the president of the stupid nation.
Yeah. Man, I done did some stupid things on my day, man. But I can speak to it,
Right.
And I can say, hey, listen, that's who I was, not who I am. So now I'm taking all the skills and talents that I've learned in the entertainment business. I want to use some to make some short films, some documentaries, kind of to let my people know, like, yo, y'all going in the wrong direction.
But you know what? That's what's going to happen if we, again, like I said earlier, if we as men don't get out and mentor these young black males, they're going to keep doing stuff that's stupid.
Yes.
You did stupid stuff. We did stupid stuff. I did stupid stuff because we didn't have someone to guide us, to lead us, to help us, to teach us, to show us. And so we're going to do stupid stuff. And until we learn, and some of us never learn, some of us better late than never, some of us, it takes us until we're in our latter years, finally learn, but we learn the hard way.
Yes, sir.
We learn the hard way. And those who are willing to listen to the voice of someone who is further and farther down the road of life than they are, to help get them through life, at least to that point that they are, with less bumps and less bruises and less scars and less torment and less trouble. If they're willing to listen, we're willing to talk. So
Yes,
we need more mentors out there. We need more folk like Sabur. Infinity Bliss, what's going on?
Hey.
You know who that is?
Yes, sir.
Who is that?
That's my peoples.
That's your peoples?
Yes, sir.
All right, we got a whole bunch of Sabur's people on here today. That's great. So you said you have a message. We're gonna get out of here. What is your message? I'm gonna give you. Do your, not your elevator. You ain't got to hurry up.
Okay.
But what is the message because you've been through a lot, bro. You lived a full life. You've been up, you've been down.
That's
you've
my
been
testimony.
Yeah, you've been in, you've been out. You've seen the dark side. And it's not like you live in you say you live in Camden.
Yes,
so
sir.
it's not like you live in Malibu somewhere, on top of a hill.
I'm reachable. I'm right there.
Yeah, you reachable.
I'm among the people.
You're in the middle of
Same place Jesus was.
you're in the grind.
Yeah.
You're where life is real.
Among the despised and the rejected.
Yes. Good God.
Sound familiar?
Yeah, sound familiar. Can I get a witness? So what is your message? And let me say this to you too, because I heard you say that this is the beginning of your purpose in terms of you getting your message out. You have a message that God has appointed and obviously stirred your spirit for you to get out to whoever it is you're supposed to get it out to. My studio is available to you.
Thank you.
I'm just going to put that out there for you now. My studio, this studio, where we are right now, where you are, you can come sit in this seat right here and do what you need to do. If you're going to start if you're going to start a podcast, whatever it is, you can do that from here.
Yeah, and listen, you heard what he said, right?
No, I'm putting it out there. I'm putting it out there.
Thank you, brother. You're about to make me cry.
You don't have to cry.
You know what's funny, man? Since I got out of prison, I cry so easy, man.
You know what?
Listen,
it's the opposite.
You don't want to watch a movie with me, man.
Really? I cried for about my first day there. No, actually my second day in prison, and I was there. Only 8 months compared to you, but 8 months is a long time.
A long time, absolutely.
I cried for about 20 seconds the second day I was in there, and I really ain't cried since.
See, I'm the opposite.
Yeah, I ain't cried. I mean, there have been times in church where I'm recognizing the presence of God and just my appreciation for Him and His keeping power and the love that I have for Him and that He has for me. And I've had a couple of tears come down, but just in general, no.
Man, listen.
I see people differently, man. I see people differently. I see life differently.
I had gotten so cold and so just filled with evil at one point, which is why I made my first son. Like I made my first son purposely, because there wasn't a person on the planet that I felt like I didn't love, or could love. So I had to create my son in order for me to feel.
So you could love him,
right? I said, there is someone on this planet that I'm not gonna lie to. I'm not gonna do wrong to.
Okay.
Because it was just kill or be killed at some point.
Right.
But now, man, I could listen to something on the news.
God got your heart.
Man, listen.
God has your heart.
Man, listen.
Yeah. He take that hard heart and make it soft, Doc.
Man,
he got that heart in his hands. He just
yeah. But
so tell the people your message, Doc. I'm gonna give you the screen. You go ahead and give them your message. But like I said, this is the beginning, like you said,
yes, sir.
of your message. This studio is available to you.
Thank you.
All right.
I want to say first and foremost that my job is to always come in peace. In Islam, we say Assalamu alaikum. So whoever it is, white, black, or indifferent, I'm going to greet you in peace. If you're hungry, I'm going to feed you. If you need to be clothed, I'm going to clothe you. However, as a Muslim, we are also taught that if you raise your hands towards me and harm, I'm going to do everything I can to defend myself. Now, for my people, and I want to say this first so that nothing is ever taken out of context, it isn't a white or black thing. It just so happened to be that I myself was born as a black man here in America. So that comes with a certain reality. And what I want to tell my people is that stop believing everything white people tell you. And I think once we start not wanting to live underneath them or have to be provided by them and come into our own, because if you read the Bible, it talks about a people who had to leave a group of people to have their own. But those 12 tribes, they sent out people, and not everybody wanted to follow the mission. And at some point, as a people, that may be our calling. we may have to leave those who held us captive and enslaved us to have our own. If this is theirs, let it be theirs. There's nothing wrong with that. I can respect you and I can love you without having to live underneath you. And perhaps the same message that the children of Israel had in Egypt may be our message. That it's time for us to leave and to have our own. When we did have our own here in this country, anytime we've had something that's ours, it was destroyed. Tulsa, Oklahoma was destroyed. Rosewood was destroyed. The Red Summers from 1990 to 1921, those were real.
Black Wall Street.
Right. So maybe those that have created this want it for themselves and don't want to share it with you, and that's fine. I'm okay with that. As long as I'm allowed the respect and the dignity to leave and to build my own. So, you know, I'm not I'm not for segregation, and I'm not for integration. I'm for love, peace, and respect.
Ooh.
And if you can't love me, and you can't respect me, and you can't treat me equitably, then I have to leave. That's just it. If you can't, whether you're a country, whether you're an organization, or whether you're an individual, if you can't love me for who I am, respect me for who I am, then I'll leave. There's a story that I've heard that God asked the angels to bow to man. Are you familiar with this? One of them said no. He said, why should I, when I'm created from fire, bow to him who's created from dirt? You understand? That person became the first racist to say, because I'm this, I'm better than. Some people may say that person is Lucifer. You understand? So whoever is a racist is a descendant of Lucifer. You are what you do. If you're a good person, you're a good person. If you're a righteous person, you're a righteous person. If you create mischief, you create lies, deceptions, you kill, rape, and murder, then you're a devil, whether you're black or white. What I'm saying to my people is, it's time to come up under from these people and have your own.
Have your own.
And maybe then they'll respect you. If they don't gotta love you, at least they'll respect you. Because right now in this country, as a black man, we are the least loved and the least respected.
Yes.
I wish it wasn't that way, but it is.
Boy, I'm going to repost all of this. This is all getting reposted. That's for sure. Brianna said, "Preach." It's the truth. I mean, yeah, it makes sense, and that's just whether it's the people, whether it's a nation, whatever it is. They don't love you. They don't respect you. They can't treat you equitably. Then you need to make a move. You need to make a move.
Let me say this before we. Some of the greatest blessings in my life have come from white men. I have some guys I grew up with who are white. I call my brothers. So let that be known, so that none of this is ever misconstrued.
Right.
People could always run the tape back and say, "Wait a minute."
Right. Yeah. Well, I have a similar testimony when it comes to people who and their treatment of me or towards me after my incarceration, after my fall from grace. The black Christians treated me real bad. The white Christians treated me like Christians are supposed to treat people. Let me put it that way. But I was ostracized and criticized and talked about.
That's a wonderful. Hey, listen, that means
by black Christians.
That means you just like Jesus.
Yeah, by black Christians.
That means you just like. That means you're doing your job.
Well, that means I'm doing my job.
Yeah. Listen, he only had 12 people following him.
Well, you're right, and all of them. When the more trouble he found himself in, the more folk turned their back and fled. That's when
you know you're doing it. If you got a lot of people following you, something wrong.
Well, you know what? I did find out the hard way, or no, I found out that a lot of people were my fans. And you know what happens with fans? They're fair weather. Yeah, they weren't real followers of Christ. They were fans of Fryar. And then when trouble came, you know what fans do? They take off and flee. Amen. All right, y'all, we out of here. Listen, brother, we're going to be talking.
Yes, sir.
You in the fold now. You know, whatever I can do to help advance your message,
Thank you.
particularly if it has to do with the studio, I'm your man. All right. Just all you got to do is ask, and we'll make it happen. All right. I appreciate you being here today. We really didn't cover everything, but man, we covered a lot.
Part 2.
Yeah, we can, and we'll do part 2 as well, because you're going to start your thing, and I'm going to have to do part 2 because you're going to start blowing up. And Ramona Stafford, you know who that is?
No, sir.
No? Okay, Ramona, what's going on? She said, perfectly said. Teach them, mentor them, guide them in the right direction. We all have a purpose. Purpose declares why we exist. Good God Almighty. It captures why we are on this earth and why Jesus died for us. It defines your life, not in terms of what you think, but what God thinks. Good God Almighty. It anchors your life in the character and the call of God. You are preaching.
We need to get her on here.
Yeah, Ramona, you need to hit me up. You need to send an email so I can contact you, Ramona, to thefryarplace@gmail.com. Thefryarplace@gmail.com. Hit me up. Good God Almighty, that was awesome. Richard, what's going on, bro? How are you? Lisa Ingram, what's happening?
Hey, Lisa.
You know Lisa? Okay, all right. Florence, that's my aunt. She's all the way out in the state of Washington.
Okay.
Yeah, she's watching right now. She says powerful words. Island Smoothies, he's over in Tom's River. That's Vinny Capriati. And sister, how do you say Sister Lake's first name? Tassiri. All right, Tassiri. God bless you. So we're out, man. We're going to bring you back sometime later on, but boy, that was great. This conversation today was fire.
Real quick, last thing. The Bible says, he who does not love does not know God, because God is love.
That's it right there. And who are we not to love? Who are we not to love? You're putting yourself above God. Ooh. You ain't God. Tell him, Sabur, you ain't God.
What that'll do to you?
Point at the camera and say, you ain't God.
You know you ain't God.
All right, Sabur, thanks for being with us today, man. God bless you. And man, I appreciate your openness and your honesty and your clarity in your message, bro. It's awesome. Wish there are more people, because prison these days, for me, I guess at some point they were trying to make prisons about rehabilitation, but but prisons are not about rehabilitation. Prisons are about punishment.
Yes, sir.
It has nothing to do with rehabilitation. Trust me. And that's why I said earlier, some crimes don't warrant, even though it's a crime and you get convicted and that kind of stuff, some crimes don't warrant prison. If you're a murderer and, violent and all that kind of stuff, okay, you need to be in prison. But, some of these white collar crimes that people are committing, prison is not the place for them. It's not, because prison is a horrific place. I don't care what level you're on. I don't care if you're in the county or if you're at a state prison or if you're in a penitentiary, for federal penitentiary. It's a horrific experience. And it's not for some crimes. Maybe one day they'll change that. But man, thank you for being with us today.
Yes,
appreciate you, bro. God bless you. And we'll see you next time.
Yes,
all right. All right. That was my brother, Sabur Sawyer, y'all. That brother there, serious. Don't play with him. I still wouldn't want to fight him. He got the love of God in him, and he's probably a gentle giant now. Probably wouldn't fight you, but boy, I wouldn't mess with him. I appreciate you all being on today. That was a great conversation. Just awesome how God takes people and uses them through our experiences in life, and not just to beat us up and to make us, bitter in life, but he makes us better through trials and tribulations. And that's how we all ought to respond. You never gain strength unless there's a struggle. Yeah, unless you have to pick up something and bear that load for a while, you'll never get any strength. You'll never grow stronger. And that's how we grow. We grow through the pains, through the problems, through the persecutions of life. That's how we get better, y'all. So when we recognize that, we can embrace what we're going through, what we have to face in our lives, with a different perspective, with a different outlook. And rather than becoming bitter as a result of it, we get better because it's something that comes into our lives to do that, to grow us, to strengthen us, to mature us, to take us to a higher level in regards to our understanding and our maturity. So, yeah. Whoever hears this, listen, again, if you're a man, you're doing all right, got a job, family maybe, there's some young men out there, some teenage men, teenage boys, they're still boys, youngsters, teenagers that need some guidance. They need a mentor. They need a male role model in their lives. Reach out. It won't be hard to find them. Go to a church, go to your local church and ask. You can go to the police station and ask. I'm sure they have a whole list of young people who need some direction. And reach out and mentor some of these young men. And if each one can guide one, can lead one, can save one, then everybody would be saved. Yeah. If everyone would reach out and grab somebody and lead them by the hand to help make their lives better, then everybody would be better. Everybody would be better. Y'all, that's it. We'll be back next week here at the same time, same place, same purpose, here at the Fryar Place to have a conversation of fire. If you missed it today, go back and watch this. My man, Sabur Sawyer. Awesome testimony. All right, I'm out. Richard, thanks for being with us. Mom, thanks for being with us. Florence, thank you for being with us. Ramona, Brianna, Lisa, to Siri. Yeah, I think I said that right. Island Smoothies. Vanetta, good gosh, a whole bunch of y'all on today. Aaron Black, yes, sir. God bless you. Jarvis Red Wine. Who else? Lenny Smith, Sankova, Diane Parker, James Hicks. God bless you. Tiana Lake, Fred Dansler, cousin Fred. All of y'all, thanks for being with us today. Y'all, I'm out. We'll see you next week, all right? Take care of yourselves. Don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. I'm out. See you next week at the Fryar Place. One love.